not a mistake to take Saddam Hussein out. All right, we'll deal with this another day. Let's get Debbie Schlussel on the line. Debbie, I am so glad to have you on the program. Thanks for being patient with me. How you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem here. I went to your website earlier today, and I had all down. I had totally decided what I was going to ask you about here today, and then you've added all this other cool stuff on top of it. Stop doing that. All right, here's what I was going to ask you about. Here's a post from earlier today or yesterday, late yesterday. On crack, Bush wants to make it easier for terrorists to enter. Now, this is about tearing the borders or the blocks down to letting to the visa process for countries that we think are cool, right?
Well, somebody thinks they're cool. I don't. What President Bush is proposing is that he wants all countries that are part of this very vague, broad coalition on terror. He wants all of those countries to be added to this visa waiver program, which is a terrible program. It should never have been put into existence. It is a program where basically people who apply for visas from the countries that are already on the list, which is most of Europe and all of Western Europe anyway, those people on that list don't have to go through the regular visa process, which means that they're not subject to these lengthy interviews about why they want to come into the United States and who they are and where they're going to be staying and with whom. They don't. They're not subject to these pretty lengthy and extensive searches on the terrorism databases as to who they are and what the history is on them. None of those things happen, and instead they're basically rubber stamped by the State Department to come into the country. And in fact, actually, the people that are on the visa waiver program don't even go through the State Department. They go through the Department of Homeland Security, and the reason why that's an important distinction is that the State Department does check people against the terrorism, all of the terrorism lists, and the Department of Homeland Security only checks people against two lists, which don't really include much information on terrorism. So basically what we're saying is we want to give all these countries, all the people who have passports from those countries, an easy ride, an easy sail into this country. And as I pointed out, we shouldn't be doing that for any country because there are bad people who want to kill us in every single country.
Absolutely.
Including our own.
Wait, this is funny here. If you go to DebbieSchlussel.com, I'm not going to try to spell this for you people because I know you're going to blow it. Go to
DebbieDoesPolitics.com. We'll take them there, too.
What's that?
DebbieDoesPolitics.com. We'll take them there, too.
That's even better. DebbieDoesPolitics.com. Okay, they can spell that because they have the video.
I figured they'd remember it for that reason.
Debbie has a picture of it. Is this an actual visa waiver?
Yeah.
This is from some clown named Michael Steger or whatever his name is.
He's a German guy.
All right, and he cleared the screening through the Department of Homeland Security. Now this is the rub here. Country of citizenship, East Germany. There is no East Germany anymore.
Right. And there hasn't been an East Germany since before the visa waiver program. And there hasn't been an East Germany since before the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, etc. So, and there hasn't been an East Germany for well over a decade. It just goes to show that they're really not on top of things at all at Homeland Security. So how can we expand this program? It's a joke.
Well, Debbie, Homeland Security, to a large degree, is a joke.
Amen to that.
Well, the bureaucracy, we talked about this yesterday, and I heard chirping crickets from the listeners, but the larger this 7 trillion-headed hydra known as the federal government gets, the more out of control and the less responsive it becomes. Now, she lists here, all right, now check this out, folks. You think of all these friendly countries, and we're just going to rubber stamp these visas and not check them. How about the visa of Richard Reed? He was from England.
Right.
What about the clowns that were going to hop on those 10 airliners in England and fly over here and blow the planes up in midair? Once again, England, and that's exactly what you're talking about here. Now, has this As last you check, has this program been implemented, or are they still talking about this?
Well, that actually is in existence right now. There is the visa waiver program for England, France, all the countries in Western Europe, and what President Bush proposed yesterday when he was in Estonia was to expand that program to 27 other nations that would include all of Eastern Europe and other countries that are, in my opinion, a big joke to add them, because one of them is Malta, which is a Muslim country that is a hotbed of Islamic terror.
Cyprus,
which we know is half Turk, but it's half, and it's half Greek, but it has a large Muslim population, and it's where the PLO had its headquarters, and a lot of, before they got the Palestinian Authority, and a lot of Palestinians still live there, and we know that the Nativity Church terrorists in 2002, who were murdered, at least 4 Americans, they got to go there to freedom, to Cyprus. So it's not a place from which we'd want people to not have to go through extensive background checks, and in my view, we just wouldn't want people from there to come into our country, period, if I had it my way.
Well, listen, there are too many people coming in here to start with.
Yeah.
Legally, despite the ones that are coming in illegally here. And this just points us, and I tell you something else this points out, Debbie, is that the main vein press corps just absolutely sailed right over this. I did not read this. I read 10 stories on Bush's trip to Latvia and his speech to the NATO group on Tuesday and yesterday. Or Monday and on Tuesday. I did not see a mention of this.
Well, I only read about it in 2 places. One was USA Today had a story on it today, and the Washington Times today also had a story, but that's pretty much it. Everybody else was mostly covering the issue about why the meeting between Bush and Maliki's people was canceled last night and happened early in the morning instead. And to me, that's not as big of a story as what's happening here in, outside our borders and within our borders, because a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people know, a lot of people who come in on these visas, whether it's a visa waiver or they actually went through the whole visa process, a lot of those people overstay, and they're here illegally forever, and we lose them. We don't know where they are, and they're planning terrorist or criminal activity, and that's far more important to me than the meeting between Bush and Maliki's people.
Now, did this guy, Michael Steger, it looks like he's the one that got this visa cleared. Did he do this to point the problem out?
I believe so. I took that from his blog, and I posted the comments from his blog online where he said, some Department of Homeland Security, what a joke, like, don't they know that there's no East Germany? I've never been to East Germany, etc. Actually, this guy happens to be living in Canada right now, but he's from Germany. And it's just amazing to me that for a weekend trip to San Francisco, they didn't have the smarts to know that there's no East Germany, and he's not from there. And he wasn't even coming here from there. Was coming from Canada. Well,
and then here's another thing that points out. You could go to DebbieDoesPolitics.com. This whole thing is it's very lengthy and very well explained here. This guy Rick Webster of the Travel Industry Association. Now listen to this, you people. Says this, quote, "It's good for our economy." Talking about the visa program. It's good for our economy. The end of the program would mean tens of billions of dollars in lost revenue and a worsened U.S. image. Can our image really get any worse with the press treating us the way that they do? Does that even really matter anymore? And you're telling...
I really don't think we should worry about our image.
I don't care.
The way we do. I think, unfortunately, the U.S. way of worrying about our image is pandering to our enemies, and that only makes our image worse. What we should be doing is kicking butts and being tough and saying, no, you can't come into our country. Then our image will be great abroad because... they won't just hate us; they'll fear and respect us, and that's really what I think we want.
All right, you've seen the new. Switch gears here. You've seen the new Rocky movie.
Right.
Debbie Schlussel here. DebbieDoesPolitics.com. You've seen the new Rocky movie. Now I remember that your movie review on the Superman movie was one of the first ones I read, And we talked about this here the day the movie came out, that the line was truth, justice, and all that other stuff, that they couldn't even bring themselves to say the American way. Now,